Hello, this is Olivier Clémence. Today, I'm going to introduce our latest module, authorizations Secure Admin Link. We created this module because we noticed there was a problem that merchants weren't necessarily aware of, but there is a real security issue, and that they need to be given a solution to solve it. When you have a provider who needs to work on your store because they are the person who developed a module and needs to make a small intervention because there is an incompatibility or something, or because it is an external provider who has to make a modification on your store, etc., you will have to share the access to the administration of your store. What you will do in this kind of situation is go to the Advanced Settings tab, Team, and here you will need to create a new employee. The problem is that creating a new employee takes time and it's quite a hassle. You have to add a first name, even though in the end we don't really care about giving the contract or their first name and last name. You have to add an email address and you have to set a password respecting the 8 characters plus uppercase letters, lowercase letters, numbers, symbols, etc. So it takes you time, and in the end, once you've done that, you will have to send the address of your back office, the email address, and the password to the service providers who need to work on your store. And often, what we'll notice is that there will be an error in the copy-paste, it won't work properly, or the account will not be activated, so it's not going to work, etc. So it's quite wasted, it takes time, but the real issue is not necessarily there. The issue is that often, what will happen is that once the service provider has completed their task, which might take 2, 3, 4, 5, or 10 days, you, as the merchant, will not necessarily think to disable that account and delete it. As a result, you will have accounts that remain active and that will accumulate in your store. And each account that remains active is an entry point for hackers. It is both an entry point for hackers because they have the possibility to do what we call brute force on your password, etc. They have lots of techniques to try entering through these entry points, but it's also a way for the provider to return to your store without you knowing for some reason X or Y that isn't necessary because their intervention is already done. They have no reason to return to your store and could cause irreparable damage when in reality they no longer have any reason to access your store's administration since their service is already completed. So to solve this problem, we created the authorizations Secure Admin Link module that installs like any other module. It is a file and it will be installed, and as a result you will have a new tab in the employee section of your back office that will allow you to create secure and temporary access links. What will happen is that the service provider to whom you send this link will be able to connect without a password, and once they have completed their service, the link will automatically deactivate after a certain time. So how do you do it? You will simply click on add. Let's imagine we give you super admin access, so there is nothing to fill in. We will click save. We click here to copy the URL and we can send it by email to the service provider. What he will do is he will receive that link. I'll open a new window to show you. He will simply click on the link. It will take him directly to your site's administration. There we've created a super admin account, so he has access to everything. But of course, you can create access with different profiles. We can imagine asking for it to be a sales representative. By default, they will arrive on the order page, and here I will create the link that I can copy, and he will arrive on the order page with only the authorized access for a salesperson. So this allows you to create a link in really 30 seconds. What you can do in the additional options is simply add a name to this link if you ever want to find it more easily in your administration. The name will be displayed. You will be able to choose the profile to define what permissions the person who will connect has. You also choose the default page it arrives at. You can choose for the link to never expire, but in that case, if you activate that, the link will never deactivate. And as a result, you're going to have the same issue you had before with employee accounts that remain inactive. So the idea is not to check that box. It's really only when necessary because you know you'll have to use this link all the time. But the theory is that you shouldn't check this box. What you're going to do is simply set an end date. By default, it is set to 10 days from the date you create the link, but you can set the period. Ideally, the best thing is to ask your service provider how long they plan to take for their intervention and add one more day. That way, you can be sure that the link will deactivate very quickly once they have finished their intervention. The last thing you can do to further enhance the security of your link is to add the IP address of the provider. If you include their IP address, you can add several if there are two providers who need to intervene and use the same link. You will block all other IP addresses. That is to say, if I try to connect to the link without the correct IP address, I will not be authorized to access your site's back office. I simply will not be able to connect. connect. Another small detail you will be able to see in the module is the connection date. That is, if you click on the eye here, you will be able to see who connected and on what date. This allows you to monitor a little bit who really connected, if they are indeed the IP addresses you expected. And finally, of course, you will be able to delete the links. Here it is. Feel free to ask if you have any questions about this module. I hope it will be useful for you, and I'll see you very soon. Thank you.